So what do you do when your dream dies? Do you sit down and cry? Do you give it up and let it die? Or do you give it one more try? Let me tell you the way it worked for me. I came to work one morning about 11 o'clock. There were two people sitting in a car waiting for me, and I got there. And see what had happened, let me tell you the preview to this. I had a restaurant, bought it with a partner of mine. We kind of bootstrapped the thing. Didn't really have enough money to start it like we should have. We tried to grow it as best we could, but we didn't pay the taxes, and we struggled by and borrowed from this account to that account and this account to that account. And eventually I bought him out, and I sent a letter to the IRS, who's the tax agency there in the States, and said, I'm the new owner here. We've had some problem with taxes. I want to make this right. Let's work out a payment plan. And I never heard anything for 3 months. So I sent a check in there. Here's a deposit, $1,000, good faith. Didn't hear anything for 3 months, so I sent another check, another letter. Never heard a thing for a couple of months until that morning. They're waiting on the car. You missed a gauge? Yes. I'm agent so-and-so. This is agent so-and-so. We're here from the Internal Revenue Service. We have your letters here. We have your files here. And we know you have $15,000 in back taxes. So we need that money. There's a 100% penalty because they were not filed. So that's $30,000. And then there's the late fees and the interest payment and the this and the that. And we need $37,000 today, or we're going to seize your restaurant. So I was like, I must have left my checkbook at home, right? And so I called my lawyer, I called my accountant, they all said the same thing. There's nothing you can do, Randy. You got to work something out with these people. And I remember hiring a consultant who used to be an IRS agent, and she negotiated with him. She called me one day and she said, Randy, we're at the end of the road. The way they keep compliance is they have to set some examples sometimes, and you had a busy delivery business and they saw those cars going all the time with the signs on them, and they need to make examples, and they just want to make you an example. And so they auctioned off the place on the courthouse steps, $500,000 a year operation. They auctioned it off for $11,000. And I couldn't beg, borrow, or steal $11,000 to get it out of hock, so that was the end of my dream. And I remember driving along in the car that day, not even my car because I didn't have a car anymore. I remember driving along in my friend's car and crying in the car, thinking, I have to call my mother and tell her this. I have to tell my friends this. I was so ashamed. I was so humiliated. I didn't know what I could do. How was I going to tell people that I had lost my business? And between the $37,000 I owed those guys and then the money I owed for the vendors, whatever money I had left that day, I took and paid off the employees and said, this is the last check you're going to get, so do what you can with it. And that left me $55,000 US, $55,000 in debt. No house, no car, no credit cards, no job. And what do you do in a situation like that? Well, when you have your dream. And see, that was the biggest dream I had at that point in my life. Because as you heard from Ford, I'm a high school dropout. I started off as a dishwasher in a pancake house. And then I worked my way up to cook, and then I became a waiter, and then I was a manager trainee. And I thought, boy, if I could just be a restaurant manager, that would be, I could wear a tie, I'd go around with the coffee pot. How's your dinner this evening? Everything okay? I thought, oh, this would be it. Until I got that job. And then I realized I worked 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week for a fixed salary. And, and then I became like the problem store manager, and they sent me around to different cities whenever they had a store losing money. They would send me there, and it was my job there to go and be the turnaround guy. So I'd go in and work on the payroll, work on the food costs, the controllable expenses, make the thing profitable, and they'd send me somewhere else. I lived in 18 cities in 5 years. So think what kind of home life you have, what kind of friends. You don't have any friends. You don't, because people stop calling you. Because every time they call you, you're always working. And you never go to the movies, and you never go to dinner, and you never go anywhere, so they just stop calling you. And your work becomes your life. And I know we got people in this room tonight and people watching on this film today who going through the same thing. We get out of balance. We get so busy chasing our income, we forget about living life. We forget about living our dreams. So anyway, that was my dream. I thought to run a restaurant until I got it. And then I said, wow, this is crazy. I'm minimum wage here. When I divide all these hours I'm working with what I'm doing, I know what I got to do. I need to own my own restaurant. That would be the dream. And that's the great American dream, of course, back in the States, is you get your own business and you start it up. And so that's what I did. And I saved my money and I worked hard and I played by the rules and I did all the stuff you're supposed to do. And I got that restaurant until that day when it all ended like that. And all of a sudden, where do you go when you don't have that dream anymore? And, in my case, I had to back up. And I'll talk about that in a sec. But I don't want to talk about me tonight. I want to talk about you tonight. I want to talk about your dream. And I mean the big dreams, the bold, daring, imaginative ones you had. The ones you had when you were 15 years old and 18 years old, 20 years old. Because what I see people give up on their dreams. And it seems the older we get, the more we give up on our dreams. And talk to any kid who's 15 years old and they know they're going to have a great car when they grow up and a great house and a great job and a wonderful spouse and they're going to be rich and they're going to be successful and they're going to be an astronaut or a football star or a rock star or whatever, right? There's no limits to what they can dream. And what happens along the way? They get out, they go to school, they get out as 22, 23 years old, all of a sudden they take a job they don't really want. It's not their dream job, but they figure it'll do for right now. And then maybe they find out about another job, and that's not their dream job, but it's a little more money than the last one. And they meet someone along the way, and all of a sudden there's two, and then there's a little baby on the way, and there's another baby, and then there's diapers and formula and braces and all of those kind of things. And all of a sudden they take another job that's 500 miles away, but again, it pays a few $1,000s more a year, so they take that job. And all of a sudden you're 35 years old, you're 45 years old, you're 55 years old, and you forgot about your dreams. That's what tonight is about. I know you heard it's a business opportunity. Nah, it's a dream opportunity. How to get your dreams back. I notice this because I like sports cars. Some of you all know me. I got a car thing going on. And it's funny, I'll be sitting at the light in one of my Vipers, let's say, and some car will pull up next, and there'll be a guy driving there, and he's got his 2-3 kids in there in the back, and they'll roll down the window, hey, Mr. Viper, man, cool car, man, and, rev the engine up. I can't wait. When I grow up, I'm going to get a Viper. And kids say that to me all the time. I grow up, I'm going to get a Viper. Now, Dad doesn't say that. He's just sitting there behind the wheel, because see, Dad's already grown up. And he figured out he ain't getting the Viper. He's got the minivan. Right? What happened along the way? Because, and it's funny, every year they publish the list of the most popular cars. And I see it every year, and it comes out. And I read the list, and it's funny. Now, when I talk to kids, and I talk to a lot of kids, they always like cars. And I'm going to get a Corvette, I'm going to get a Lamborghini, I'm going to get a Ferrari. And then when they publish this list of the best-selling cars, it's Toyota Camrys and Holdens and Mercurys and Ford Escorts and Geo Metros, the broke mobiles. Right? These are all cars they make for broke people. You see that? Like the Holdens you got here. Right? And the Toyotas we got there, and the Chevys we got there, and the Buicks we got there. They make those things for broke people. Now, how come when I see the list of the top 10 things, I don't see Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Rolls Royce and Jaguar and Bentley? Because they gave up on their dreams. They said, well, this is the car we got. There's room for the car seat in the back, and we can afford the payments. And they settle for a car. And they settle for a house. And they settle for a job. And they settle for a life of quiet desperation, when they could be living a life of joy, challenge, growth, adventure, and prosperity. That's what tonight's about. I want you to think about, really, here's the challenge I would give you. I want you to think of 5 things you would do, have, or become if money was no object. I mean, really think about this, okay? You don't have to write it down. I just want you to think about it. But think about, if you had Bill Gates' kind of money, if you had Larry Ellison's kind of money, if you were one of these .com billionaires, would you be driving the car you're driving right now that you got here today in? How many people, tell the truth now, if money was no object, how many people would have a different car in the parking lot tonight? Okay. Now, if money was absolutely no object, you had 30, 40, 50, $60 billion, how many people would have a different roof over their head when they went home tonight? How many people have a better wardrobe? Ladies, how many of you would have bigger closets? Right? Yeah. So this tells me something. This tells me you do have dreams, and you want to live them, or you wouldn't be sitting here tonight. See, most of Australia tonight, most of New Zealand tonight, most of the United States, UK, everywhere where they're watching this video, most people aren't gathered like this. Most people are sitting on a recliner, rubbing the hair off the back of their head, drinking rancid fermented hops, watching the Idiot Box. 6 hours a day. And this is their life. Monday morning, 6:30, the alarm clock goes off. And they hit the snooze bar. If I could just get 15 more minutes. And they wait 15 more minutes, and they hit the snooze bar again, and they get 10 more. And then they got to get up, and they rush in the shower, and they jump in the car, and they buy their breakfast through a drive-through somewhere, and then they go to a job they don't like or actually hate. 85% of them, a job they don't like or actually hate, and they get through Monday till 5 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and then they go out and they face the traffic going home. They probably get drive-through dinner somewhere, dinner in a bucket to take home to the kids, get in front of the Idiot Box and sit there in a coma till they fall asleep, or they crawl into bed until Tuesday morning, 6:30, it starts all over again. Wednesday, hump day. Thursday, we're almost there. Thank goodness it's Friday. Because you know what Friday means, right? Because Friday means somewhere near the end of the day, the boss is going to say, hey, here, boy. You're going to get out that little paycheck, and they're going to get that paycheck, and for one brief moment in time, it's going to feel like it's theirs. But we know it isn't theirs, is it? Because they got all those little window envelopes from the credit card company just waiting for them, and that money is spent long before it ever got there. But for this one brief moment in time, it feels like theirs. So I don't know what they do here in Sydney, but I know what they do in the States. They go out to Pizza Hut. All right? So it's off to Pizza Hut for a deep dish, meat lovers, extra cheese, extra meat, but, Diet Pepsi because I'm trying to hold my weight, And off to the Pizza Hut, and then it's off to the neighborhood video store where they rent 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, even 10 videos to get them through the weekend. And they will spend their entire weekend sitting on that same recliner, rubbing that same hair off the back of that same head, drinking the same rancid fermented hops in a coma all weekend long, video after video after video, so they don't have to think about their life of quiet desperation until Monday morning, 6:30, when it starts all over again. This is life for a lot of people. This is life for millions of people. They're missing out on the real life. They're missing out on the real joy. And I don't want that for you. I didn't come 12,000 miles here to tell you what you want to hear. I came to tell you what I think you need to hear. We got a business here that offers you a chance with unlimited income potential. It's a business to help you be successful while you're helping other people reach success. You choose the hours you work. You pick the people you get to work with. I mean, do you know what a joy that is? Just to be able to pick the people instead of those slobs you're working with. Right? I mean, the tax advantages are extraordinary. The travel opportunity, if you're like me and you love to travel the world, the travel opportunities in this business are simply amazing. Okay? So what's it take to do the business? Well, it doesn't take a lot of money. This is a very low startup cost business. It doesn't take a lot of time. This is a business you can start in 7 to 10 hours a week. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is a 2 to 4 year plan. So you say, is this a get-rich-quick scheme? Yes, as a matter of fact, it is. Okay? Because anything that can get you rich in 2 to 4 years is a get-rich-quick scheme as far as I'm concerned. Because what are most people doing? They're doing the 45-year plan, which is they get a job around 20 years old. They work for 45 years at that dead-end job they don't like or actually hate and retire around 65 years old and try to live their golden years on half of what they couldn't get by on when they worked. Do you get that? You know, your retirement's about half of what, and I've been in all the country I've been in. I can't tell you how many different countries, and I've been in socialistic countries and free enterprise countries and everything in between, and I can tell you the retirement security, it's the same in all those places. Your golden years, if you're counting on the government to take care of you, if you're counting on pensions to take care of you, you're looking at living your golden years on 50% of what you can't get by on right now. So if your idea of your golden years is walking your poodle around the block, good luck to you. But if you think you're going to travel the world and go see your grandkids and live a wonderful life of leisure, you better take a very good look at what we've got to show you tonight. Because you've got to control your own destiny. You've got to control your own income. You've got to control your own retirement security. And that's one of the biggest benefits of this business. So it's a 2 to 4 year plan, takes 7 to 10 hours a week. It doesn't take a lot of money. So what does it take? It takes the dream. Because if you don't have the dream, you'll never find the 7 to 10 hours a week. I can guarantee you that. You're busy. We're all busy. You're working, you're picking up the dry cleaning, you're making dinner, you're taking the kids to football practice, you're paying the bills, you got to sleep, you got to eat, you're using 24 hours of every day already. So what's got to give? You've got to find a dream, something that will take you to the frame of mind where you will change the way you live, you will change the daily actions you take, and you will change your mindset for a 2 to 4 year period. So that alarm clock will go off at 6:30 in the morning. You'll get up, you'll have your breakfast, you go to work, you'll work 8 or 9 hours at your job, you'll get out of the job, you'll run somewhere, grab a bite to eat, and go somewhere and work for another 3 hours in the evening. When you could be home watching TV, when you could be with your kids, when you could be with your family, when you could be watching a football game or something else. But you will make a sacrifice. You will say, I will find the 7 to 10 hours a week for 2 to 4 years to build my freedom, to build my security, to build my independence. And don't tell me, ladies, well, I can't do that because of my kids. Let me tell you what I say to that. Don't use your kids as an excuse not to do the business. Use your kids as the reason to do the business. So you can raise your own kids instead of paying someone else to raise them for you. You know, I mean, people drop their kids off at a daycare center at 7:30 in the morning and pick them up at 5 o'clock at night. Those poor kids couldn't pick their mother out of a police lineup. Right? Don't use your religion as an excuse. Let me tell you, I missed a lot of church for a couple of years while I built my business. I was doing meetings on Wednesday nights instead of going to church on Wednesday night. Some Sundays I was in a different city working with a long distance line instead of being at church. But you know what happened? I tithe 10% of every penny I make to my church. And I make a lot of pennies these days. Okay, some Sundays, we seat 800 in my church. You know, some Sundays, they put that basket around and it starts here and it goes all the way down the aisles, all that just like that. And you know, sometimes the check that I put in there equals the checks of 799 other people all added together. That's what missing a few days of church did for me. Gave me time to serve on the board of the church, 2 years as the president, a couple years more as the Blue Ribbon Committee. I've been able to contribute to the church. I've been able to teach a class on prosperity on that. See, I couldn't do that when I was broke. Do you really get that? You can't do these kind of things when you're broke. You can't help your kids when you're broke. When you're so busy trying to pay the bills, you're so busy trying to cover the mortgage, you're so busy trying to pay the rent, you can't live life. And that's not the way life is meant to be lived. I came here because I want you to have an amazing life like I have. And believe me, I have an amazing life. I live in my dream home. I live on the ocean, okay? I go to bed every night. I hear those waves crashing on the shore. I wake up, I go down, and I got a beautiful car to get into. I have beautiful people in my life. I have wonderful health. Everything is, I make more money every year than I did the year before. I am living a dream that is just wonderful. But I made some sacrifices along the way. And that's what I'm saying to you. Make some sacrifices. Take 2 to 4 years. Make a commitment. When you walk out of here tonight, make that commitment. Not to your spouse, not to your sponsor, not to me, not to yourself. Make a commitment to yourself that you're worthy, that you're worth it, that you will think back. And that's what I want you to really do, is say, okay, what were your dreams when you were 15? What is the house you would live in if money is no object? Do you have a picture of it somewhere that you carry around to fuel you? What is the dream car you want to be driving? Is it a red Lamborghini Diablo? Ferrari Testarossa? Bentley? Viper? What is it? Do you have a picture of it in your wallet? You got a picture of it in your planner? You have a dream board with it up somewhere? You got it up on the mirror in the bathroom? You got it up on the refrigerator in the kitchen? How much time you want to spend with the loved ones in your life? How much money you want to give to charity? I had lunch. Funny, I just got invited to be on the board of directors for the Florida Philharmonic. I'm so honored they asked that, and I'm proud to be a supporter of them. I'm proud to be a supporter of the opera and the Young Artist Program and all kind of charities. Fascinating thing, though. I had lunch with the guy who invited me to be on the board. He gave $1 million to the Philharmonic this year. $1 million. So they can play beautiful music. That's money. That's money with a capital M. That's living a life of dreams. That's living a life of wonder, of joy, of adventure and growth. And that's what I want for you. But you got to know what that is. So please, those 5 things, what would they be? And maybe you're going to give $1 million to your church, temple, or synagogue. Maybe it's you want to take a year off and study ballet. Maybe you want to take 6 months and go on a cruise around the world. Maybe you want to fly in all your family from all over the world and have a reunion. Maybe you want a house in Paris and a house in Hawaii and a house in San Diego and a house in Berlin. I don't know what it is for you, but you have to know what it is. Or nothing I'm going to talk about tonight is going to make any sense to you. You'd be better sitting home watching Survivor, Big Brother, Fear Factor, whatever one of those shows. You could sit watching any one of those shows instead of be here tonight. Because if you're here tonight, you got to know what your dream is. And we can show you. I will draw out on this board. I will draw out a way and show you how you can live those dreams. And I'll show you how to build some residual income, some retirement security, and you can just do the numbers yourself, okay? And you could say, all right, is there any of those 5 things that I would do, have, or become that I can get with what I see here on this board? The difference is, and here's the secret, okay? You wonder, okay, I know there's nothing for free. There's always a cost. Here's the thing. Here's the secret of everything I'm going to talk about tonight has to do with leverage. It's getting you out of the trap. And there's a big trap, okay? And this is the trap. It's people trading time for money. You work 40 hours, you get paid for 40 hours. So you work 40 hours and you get paid $400 a week. If you're sick half a day and you only work 35 hours, you get paid $350. If you need some extra money because there's something that you want to do, you put in some overtime, so you work 45 hours, so maybe you get $450. Well, you know what? That is trading time for money. Time for money. Hours for dollars, hours for pounds, hours for dollars, hours for cougar ranch, whatever the currency is. If you're trading time for currency, you can't get wealthy. It's a trap. You got to put some leverage to work somehow to get out of that, because this is what keeps people broke. So in my case, when I lost my dream, and I started all over again, I said, well, I got a choice here. I can go and live like most people do and live that life of quiet desperation and just mind my own business and do the thing and be a worker drone in the collective like everybody else. Or I can go after my dreams again. So I began a study of prosperity. Because when you're $55,000 in debt, no house, no car, no credit cards, and you start selling the furniture, things look a little different. Anybody here ever sell your furniture for your business? Interesting scenario. Here's what I found. The end tables, not a problem. Coffee table, no big deal. Kitchen table, hey, you can always eat in the sofa. Lamps, no big deal. You got the light in the kitchen on the ceiling. But the sofa and the bed and the TV. How did I know you'd know that? The bed, the sofa, and the TV, they gotta be the last to go. Because see, I don't know if you got it here, but what we have in the States, we have infomercials on all night long. So once midnight hits, these infomercials start, and they're all about how to make money. So what do you do when you're $55,000 in debt and you're sleeping, with no furniture and whatever? You sit up all night and you watch infomercials. And then you sleep all day and you're so depressed, and you get up and you read the one ads and you think you don't have bus fare to go to the job interview, and you think how miserable your life is, and you eat macaroni and cheese 3 times a day, which is what I did for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'd get up, sleep, mope around, eat my macaroni and cheese, and then midnight would start the infomercials. And I remember we had a Vietnamese guy named Tom Vu. I don't know if you ever saw that here, this infomercial. He had one of those courses on how to buy real estate, no money down. So one night, it's 3 a.m., I'm sitting on the sofa. Tom Vu comes on. He says, "You, sitting on the sofa! You, it's 3 a.m. Now I know he's really worried, because it's 3 a.m. I'm sitting on the sofa. He said, "You sitting on the sofa at 3 a.m. Your wife's asleep. Your baby's asleep. You are a loser. Nobody cares about you. You are a loser. If you don't buy my program, you deserve to be broke." And I'm like, oh, if only I could afford this program. But of course, I didn't have the $199 or whatever it was. So, and eventually, of course, the sofa had to go, the bed had to go, and then the TV had to go. And then something else had to go. And that was my mindset. My victim, loser, woe is me, oh, the circumstances are against me. That mindset had to go. And I had to say, okay, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I am sick of being broke. I am sick of being sick. I am sick of being stupid. I'm sick. The truth is I wasn't even broke, okay? Because I would have needed $55,000 to qualify for broke. Okay? I would have been happy to be broke at that point in my life. Okay? At that point, I would have been happy to have an alarm clock going off at 6:30 waking me up. Now, is that the dumbest invention you ever heard, though, an alarm clock? You're supposed to wake up when you finish sleeping. But, right, what do? We stuck in the thing. So now at this point, I wouldn't have been happy with an alarm clock. Okay, but I started a study of prosperity. And here's what I found. 2 secrets of prosperity. If you want to be wealthy, secret number 1, you have to be your own boss. You ain't going to get rich working for other people. If you've got to get a job as president of Disney Studios or, IBM calls you up and wants you to be the vice president of operations, maybe you're going to make a lot of money. All I know is those people weren't calling me, okay? And they may not be calling you, okay? So if those people ain't calling you, you want to get wealthy, you got to be your own boss. Because let me tell you a secret. I don't care how nice your boss is. I don't care how much your boss loves you and wants to help you. The truth is they have to buy you at wholesale and sell you at retail. Otherwise, they don't make money and they don't stay in business. So the only way they make money off you is to buy you at wholesale and sell you at retail. So if you want to make money, you got to be able to get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and know that you're talking to the boss. And issue number 2, and this is the most important thing, which we mentioned, you've got to employ the concept of leverage. And this is something, J. Paul Getty, who was one of the wealthiest people the world ever known, he understood this. And he was quoted oftentimes, this is probably his most famous quote, when he said, I would rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 people than 100% of my own efforts. Because he understood the concept of leverage. And he became one of the wealthiest people the world has ever known. So tonight, I'm going to share with you how you can employ this same concept of leverage that the wealthiest people in the world do, and it'll allow you to get your share of that kind of wealth. And I'm happy to say, I'm one of the wealthiest people in the world. You know that? Now, you know what? I don't have Bill Gates' money. I don't have Larry Ellison's money. I couldn't spend $90 million on a boat down in the Kiwi race there next week. But you know what? I'm one. If there's 6 billion people, whatever there is on this planet, I'm wealthier than 5,990, 99.8% of them. And I'm a dishwasher from a pancake house. But I understood leverage. Now, how do you put this leverage? It's a business called network marketing, sometimes called multi-level marketing. Sometimes we call it MLM for short. What is it? It's a business that allows you to leverage the efforts of other people who have a dream and are willing to trade that 7 to 10 hours a week to get a dream. So you're going to introduce them to the business. You're going to teach them a duplicatable system that they could follow and duplicate the same results with people that they're going to introduce to the business and create this system that everybody can follow, and everybody will get a nice chunk of the organization that is built. And because you direct your own organization, because you are your own boss, you get some residual income out of the efforts of the people that you introduce to the business. That's the leverage. It's no different than when Madonna makes a record and every time they play that CD, she gets a royalty of that. When Coppola does a movie and that movie plays, it gets a royalty of that. This is how the average person can get leverage. See, if you got money, leverage is not a problem. You can leverage your money. You can buy stocks, bonds, invest in companies, invest in real estate, all that kind of stuff. I couldn't do that. If you could buy a franchise. If I would have bought a restaurant franchise instead of opening my own restaurant, chances are I'd still be in the restaurant business. But you know what? I couldn't afford the franchise fee. I didn't have that kind of money. Ask someone about the stock market, they'll tell you, unless you got $25,000 you can afford to lose, don't even get in the stock market. Well, I didn't have $25,000 I could afford to lose. I didn't have $25 I could afford to lose. So I didn't have the money to leverage. And if you got a couple $100,000, couple million you can leverage, hey, maybe you don't even need to be here tonight. But I'm speaking to the rest of you. who don't have that kind of money. And the rest of you who used to have that kind of money till the stock market tanked, and now your retirement fund is 40% of what it was 2 years ago. Okay, let's talk about how you build your security. Well, so what is network marketing? It's just a new paradigm in distribution. Been around for over 50 years now. And it is, why I say it's a new paradigm in distribution is because it's changing the way we get products and services to the consumer. And with things that have happened recently, like the internet, overnight shipping, satellite, telephone, fax technology, all of this stuff is driving network marketing to be a bigger force today than it has ever been. So it's been growing consistently for more than 50 years. There are somewhere between 14 to 16 million people in the network marketing direct selling industry. And it will do somewhere between 70 and 80 billion dollars US this year. So this is a very credible business. And if you've been reading the financial papers the last few years, you've seen it mentioned in the Wall Street Journal, had front page cover stories on Success Magazine, Forbes magazine. The mainstream press is really starting to pick up on this. Now, why is that happening? Is because it's the future. It's what has to be, because what has happened in the past doesn't work anymore. In other words, here's how it used to work in distribution. We'd have a manufacturer. They would make a product. They would sell it to a wholesaler who would buy it, resell it to a rack jobber who would buy it, resell it to a retail chain. They would buy it, send it to a warehouse somewhere, sits in a dusty warehouse for 6 weeks, and then it gets transferred by truck, maybe it goes to the store, and then you come in the store and you buy this product. Well, they had to make money, they did. You have all these parasites who were taking money out of your product. I say, why am I calling all those people parasites? Well, it's not that they're not nice people, it's just that made sense 100 years ago. It doesn't make sense today. Because today, we can have a network marketing company manufacture a product and send it direct to a distributor who in many cases is the end consumer, and in other cases is just conversationally marketing the products with their friends, neighbors, and relatives, and we eliminate all these other people in the middle. So look at the difference. This made sense 100 years ago. Something came by boat over here. Maybe it went from California, it went on a ship, came to the East Coast here, and then it was transported across to Australia over to the outback. It was the same thing with us. We used to get stuff from England, and it would land in Boston or New York, and then it would go by stagecoach across the country, and then it went by train, and then it went by truck, and this is the only way it worked. This is all we knew. Then we got fax machines, we got the internet, we got Federal Express, UPS, overnight delivery, we got 800 telephone numbers, we got fax machines. All of a sudden, this doesn't work anymore. It's a broken model. Why do you think so many businesses have been in bankruptcy in the last 5 years? And I mean big name, 100, 200-year-old companies, retailing giants like Macy and Stalwart that we would think have been around forever. They went into bankruptcy court. Why? Because they have a broken distribution model. This is the model of today. This is the model of the future. And with what we're doing now with internet and 800 numbers and ordering, this is going to get just bigger and bigger and bigger. So what this does is this allows you an opportunity to participate on a new paradigm in distribution. I want you to think when fortunes were made. They're made in revolutions. The agricultural revolution made a bunch of rich landowners. The industrial revolution made a bunch of rich factory owners and business owners. If you think of Carnegie, the steel, the Amoco people, the Standard Oil people, the Henry Ford and the Chryslers, and think of all the old money today. It all came from the families we know today. It came from the Industrial Revolution. So now we have the distribution revolution. So what this means is that 50 years, 75 years from now, there's going to be a meeting at a hotel somewhere in Sydney, Australia, and they're going to say, think about the old money today, the Gage money, the Hawkins money, your money, and say that was made in the distribution revolution. Because they saw the power of the internet, overnight shipping, fax machines, 800 number, and how to put all this together into the new paradigm of distribution. This is what we're in right now. And I believe the next 2 years is going to be the biggest years of growth in the history of the industry. And you could be a part of it. Well, your income 40 years from now is going to be present on what you do for the next 2 years. Now notice we have all this money that got wasted before. Where did it go? Well, there's 2 places it goes. Number 1, it goes to product research and development. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. And the other place it goes is right here to you, the distributor. The people who actually get involved with the business. All this money that you, because see, sometimes you could go to the store, you could buy a box of cereal for $3.50. The actual cereal, the cost of that cereal might be 40 cents, 35 cents. What is all the rest of that money? It's all this wasted layers of distribution. So see, that isn't necessary anymore. So that money gets freed up, and because you are a pioneer of the industry, because you are somebody with a vision and a dream, and you're willing to trade the 7 to 10 hours a week to get the dream, you're going to cash in about that.